تقول بتقسم. This one, if I said, for example, Ali, Ahmed, and American people add also comma here. American people only, British people don't. If I said Ali, Ahmed, and Muhammad are, let's say, like 10, 11, and 12, and 12 years old, for example, respectively, what does it mean? Respectively, what does it mean? Respectively here, instead of writing 3 sentences, instead of writing Ali is 10 years old, and Ahmad is 11 years old, and Muhammad is 12 years old. So just instead of writing 3 sentences, both of them are simple and both of them are repetitive. The word respectively enables us to include like some information in one sentences only, to cover like more than two or more than one piece of information in one sentence only. And this one is highly appreciated in IELTS writing task 1. So here, for example, like, so it means Ali is 10 and Ahmed is 11 and Muhammad is 12. So here we have this one. Like, for example, I can say, like here, as you see, like whatever it is the largest expenditure item for France. You can say clothing, for example. You can write here, for example, clothing. Clothing is the largest expenditure item for France, Germany, and UK, with all of them spending around 1/3 of their income on it at 30%, 33%, and 37% respectively. What does it mean? So what does it mean? It means what? It means, yes. Okay, so it means what? It means that Germany, like, 30% for Germany and 33% for the UK and 37%, 30% for France, 33% for Germany and 37% for UK. You got it? So this is the word respectively. So always try to use it. Always try to use it. Like if you'd like to use it here, we can use it here. In this graph, we can use it. Like here, in this one, we can use it. We can use the word respectively. When, if we speak about beef and lamb, because as you see, both of them are decreasing or were decreasing. So we can say, for example, like beef decreased to both beef and lamb decreased gradually to, I can write, for example, like here to about, what is this? About 110 and about 70 or 60% respectively, or gram per person per week, respectively. So here I included both of them in one sentence, which means you're able to express yourself in a complex way. That's why this sentence is highly recommended. Remember to use it, the word respectively. I included some examples here to help you with that. Okay, another one, I can say like whatever it is, like, where twice as likely to be, whatever, like I've just limited the basis so that you can just use the sentence as it is. Okay, and then at like 26% and 14% respectively. So for sure, like 26% refers to this one and 14% refers to this one. And then we have fluctuated. What does fluctuated mean? As I told you, like going up and down. Question here. In order, what do you mean in order? Like you don't have to follow. Like, by the way, one of the common mistakes, like, to start from left to right or from right to left. We use this one when we describe places. If you're supposed to write a descriptive essay of a place, yes, you have to follow, like, a pattern. You can go from, I would describe a place when it comes to place only. But when it comes to this one, no, you don't have to go from left to right. You don't have to. Like, there are different approaches. You would always remember to categorize information. Always remember what is up, what is down, what is like, the highest and what is the lowest. And don't include all simple unimportant details. Do not include them. Why? Because they will be a waste of time. They will decrease like the quality of your writing, and you won't have any time to edit what you have already written. So it's better to focus what is worth it. What is worth it, the most important detail, like what catches your attention once you look at the chart. This is the most important one. So here, as I told you, these sentences, I just collected the most important sentence that you might use in academic writing task 1. I will send them to you. Okay, so I have this one here, as I told you. I didn't include a lot of details so that you can memorize them. Like, consider them as, let's say, as bones, skeleton. We can write, for example, like here, we can say both Coca-Cola products and McDonald's decreased dramatically to 10% and 20%, 10% and 20% respectively, for example. You can write this one, it's okay. And so just I added, as I told you, the sentence that you might need. You can use such sentences in your academic writing and memorize them. Okay, so here you can see the figures means numbers, by the way. Like you can use the word figures. The word figure has different meanings. What does the word figure mean? The word figures, what does it mean? Who knows what it means? Figures might mean number. Yes, numbers. What else? Shapes. Very good. What else? Very good, Abdullah. What else? What does figure mean? Numbers or shapes? What else? As a noun, not as a verb. Like what else? Pattern, I think. Okay, very good. What else? Also it might refer to people. If I said there are some eminent figures in my city. So here it means like eminent people. figures شخصيات بارزة. You got it? But here we can use it to refer to numbers. So the figures, like some people like do not like using numbers like a lot more than once. Okay, so in that case, we can say a word figure. The figure started at a similar amount, or like should it be like similar like number, but like similar amount around 10 million. But I don't like using the word amount with like numbers, by the way, because the word amount is mostly used with an uncountable nouns, amount, and numbers with countable nouns. Okay, mostly speaking, but like here I got it from an academic book. So here we have this one. So again, now let's try to look at this one. Like we already looked at it, this one. I just like to have a look at it again, like this diagram or this pie chart. This is line graph, so line graph. So here, as you have just mentioned, as you see, the first step, rephrase the introduction. In the present simple, remember S. Photos, diagrams, yes. Very good, yes. So first of all, we have to, number one, as I told you, we have to rephrase the question. Believe me, this is one mark in its own. Rephrase the question. And when you rephrase the question, do not change the meaning. You can just, by the way, like the examiners do not like, they don't expect you to rephrase it like widely. Like, no, like they said, even you can change the arrangement of the words. You know what I mean? You can just arrange like, as I told you, replace like use synonyms and antonyms. As I told you, like in a country in Europe instead of in a European country, you can write in a country in Europe. It's totally okay. It was fine with them. It's totally okay. And this is considered as a perfect rephrasing. Between and you can replace it with from to. It's also okay. As I told you, different. You can write various. You can write varied. You can say several. You can write three other kinds of meat. Whatever you like kind. You can replace it with the word types or sorts. You can remove all of it and write like beef, chicken, and beefy chicken and lamb. It's okay. Lamb. It's okay. You know. Okay. How much like fish eats chicken and lamb was eaten. In a Europe, in a country in Europe, like from two from 1979 to 2004. So what do you see here? As you see, like we have a trend. We have a chicken going up. We have beef and lamb going down, and we have fish going down. This is one main idea. What is the second main idea here? What is the second main idea here? From your point of view, what is the second main idea? What do you think? What is the highest and what is the lowest? What was the highest and what was the lowest? You have to mention that. This is another main idea. Like you have to mention that fish was always the least consumed item here. People didn't prefer fish all over the year. Like, over like here, it was always the lowest. No one like tended to prefer it like, the most. So you can just speak about fish as like, as like the lowest. You have to mention that. And here we have beef and chicken. So as I told you, you can have different approaches. You can write one paragraph to describe this year, like 1997, and another one describing 2004. Okay, and in a third paragraph, you can mention like which one is the highest, which one was the highest, and which one was the lowest. Okay, what else here? Fish was the lowest. Yes, very good. Chicken was like no, chicken was not the highest all the time. Remember here, chicken started to be the highest only here. No, not here even. Like here started to be like here. Beef used to be the highest. Beef used to be the highest, and then chicken. Chicken was the highest in 2004 only. But before that, you can never say that chicken was always the highest because it wasn't like that. It doesn't like hold true all like concerning the whole period. Okay, so you can write one paragraph describing like comparing chicken and beef as like while and whereas. You can write while and whereas, despite the fact that like chicken in 1979 was less than consumed. The amount of chicken consumed was less than that of beef consumed. And then you can write like the two like numbers and write the word respectively in 1979. And you can cite chicken like showed and upward trend, while beef showed and you can say declined. The consumption of beef declined. And again, remember numbers. You're supposed to use numbers, at least 3 numbers. If you don't use numbers, like even if your structure is good, you want to get more than 5. Okay. So now it's time like to read like the sample written by the examiner himself. And remember, like this is just one sample. You can just use your own sample. It's still correct. Okay. So now, who likes to read it? Who likes to read it? Beef was high demand, but decreased between. Yes, you can
Yes,
read.
of course, I can read.
Yes, okay, you can read it. So when you read it, we can just analyze it. Yes, okay, start reading. Just read sentence and then start and stop. Just a sentence and then stop. Yes.
Okay, so are you talking to me or to someone else?
Yes, to you. Just start reading it. Yes.
Okay. In 1979,
No,
beef
start with
was
this one. It's this one. You can read this one.
okay.
Yes.
The graph illustrates changes in the amounts of beef, lamb, chicken, and fish consumed in a particular European country between 1979 and 2004.
Excellent. Is it hard? Like, is this sentence, does it look like challenging? No, this is the rephrasing. Like, this is like how the examiner rephrase the question. Again, if you like to change this rephrase, what should the word illustrates? If you like to replace it with another word, which can you give me suggestion? The word illustrates. Can you give me suggestions?
Shows.
Shows. What else? Shows. Yes.
Demonstrated.
No, demonstrates.
Demonstrates, yes.
Demonstrates. Remember the S. What else? You can write reveals.
Highlights.
Highlights. Yeah. Highlights is good, but they don't use it that much. You can say presents. What else?
Produced. Produce.
Presents. Yes, very good. Elaborates. Yes. Shows. Introduces. You can say produce. Produce. No, forget about produce means to create. So you can say it just shows or gives information on, gives information about, sheds lights on, illustrates, represents. You see, depicts. You can write also depicts. Just pick a word which is not that familiar and memorize it. Write it in all writing task 1. And the graph, you can write the given line graph. Okay. Changes. If you like to change the word, it changes. If you'd like to rephrase it, which give me your suggestions. The word it changes. In other words, what is the synonym? What are the synonyms of the word it changes? Differences. Very good. What else? You can write variations. In the amount of beef, instead of writing consumption, the amount of beef, lamb, yes, but here, quantities, amount, yes, okay. Of beef, lamb, chicken. And so here, remember, he just removed the word different kinds of meats and he wrote them. And fish, and we said, and we can replace it with as well as fish. And some people say, you're not supposed to use as well as if you have more than 2. I mean, don't write 3 items and then as well as in American. They said that consumed in a particular European country, instead of writing in a European country, said a particular. He added this word and it doesn't change the meaning. For sure it's particular, but we don't know what is it. If it is written, you can just, instead of writing in a particular European country, if it's written down, you can write, for example, in Italy or in England or in France, whatever it is. Between, we can write from to. Okay, very good. Now let's move to the second paragraph. But one, start reading it. Yes. Now start reading. What are we doing here? We're trying to, this is the examiner's response. We try to, find other approaches or rephrase it. Yes. Now, in body 1. So start reading. Yes, Mohammed. Yes.
In 1979, beef was by far the most popular of these foods, with about 225 grams consumed per person per week.
Yes.
Lamb and chicken were eaten in similar quantities, around 150 grams, while much less fish was consumed, just over 50 grams.
See here again, this one is so simple. They call it what, concise but precise. He did not use a lot of a lot of words. Here, body 1 only a description of this one, as you see here. Body 1 here, the description of this one only, in this year only. He described what's happening here, what was happening here. He said, what was the most popular one? Beef. He said that it's obvious, or it was obvious, or it's obvious, that beef was the most popular kind of meat that people preferred at that time, the most popular kind of meat. And he explained, he mentioned, the amount or the number of grams per person per week. And then he described, here, he said that the chicken and lamb, be here is silent. You can say chicken and lamb were, consumed or eaten at similar, similar percentages or certain numbers, similar figures. We have the similar figures here. And then fish was the least one. So he didn't do anything more than that. He described what, the percentages or the numbers. Here we have numbers, of the consumption, the amount, the numbers or the amounts consumed by people in that year only. Okay, now let's move on to body 2. Here in body 2, however, again, remember, in speaking, in writing task 1, in writing task 2, transitional words or linking words, believe me, are a key. Sometimes you just count them. Sometimes you just count them. Here we have overall. They prefer overall. Overall, instead of writing in conclusion, write overall. They always, when you see, examiners' responses, they always, write overall. I'm not saying that others are wrong. The others are wrong. But I'm saying, overall, they prefer it. So here, okay, like the body 2, who can read body 2? Who can read it? Who likes to read it? Okay, Muhammad, start reading it. Yes.
However, during this 25 years period, the consumption of beef and lamb fell dramatically to approximately 100 grams and 55 grams respectively.
Yes.
The consumption of fish also declined, but much less significantly to just below 50 grams.
Yes.
So although it remained the least popular food, consumption level were the most stable.
Yes. So here we have what we have here, however, a linking word indicating that we have here like in 1997 and here in 2000 and 2004. He said during this 25-year period, the concept like here, when you write this one 25-year, you're not supposed to add s here. When you add the dash, do not add s here. Like you're not supposed to write 25 years period. This is wrong. So if you like to use this expression, and it's used a lot in academic writing, if you are going to use it like 25-year-old student, so don't write 25 years old. This is a common mistake. And here, instead of writing in 2004, he wrote it that way. He would like to say that over during this 25-year period of consumption, the consumption of beef and lamb, this a comma should be inserted here, but it's optional. Like the consumption of beef and lamb fell dramatically to approximately 100 gram and 50 grams respectively. Remember the word respectively? احنا فاكرين ان احنا قلنا the word respectively حلوه جدا نستخدمها، بدل ما استخدم اعمل جمله بس البيف وجمله اللام واعيد نفس الكلام، لا هو خلاص هما الاثنين نفس الترند. So in that case, we can use both of them and just use like the numbers in the same order. And then write the word respectively. ده جدا الستراكشر ده like highly recommended in academic writing if you have friends. The consumption of fish also declined. So مرة استخدم fill, مرة استخدم declined. He didn't like repeat the sentence. Like but much less significantly. عندنا هنا كلمة significantly, it doesn't mean importantly. What does significant here mean? What does it mean? Significant. If I said significant differences, what does it mean? Significant.
Very big difference or something that's worth mentioning.
Excellent. Yes, significant. Users speaking in master degrees when they have their reviews, when they have their methods, if there are differences that are worth mentioning, in that case, it's significant differences. It means what? A difference that should be noted. So here significantly means like sharply, less like it's like the decrease or the decline is not that significant, it's not that much. And yeah, it's a truth. To just below like 50%, like 50 grams, sorry. So although it remains the least popular food, consumption levels were the most stable. Is speaking about fish. We spoke about fish. So here, yes. Now Abdurrahman, read back, the third like body 3. Read it. Yes.
The consumption of chicken, on the other hand, showed an upward trend, overtaking that of lamb in 1980
Yes.
and that of beef in 1989. By 2004, it had soared to almost 250 grams per person per week.
Yes, very good. But like when the year, usually speaking, when we have like two zeros, like two zeros and like, consecutive zeros in numbers in years, like we were supposed to read it like as four, like number of four, like 2004, because we said 2004, it might be confusing. So you can say 2004, 2001, and so on. So it has soared. So here, once he soared, soared means like to increase rapidly, to skyrocket, to peak. And this one here. So once he showed an upward trend, and once he said like soared, and once he said like increased. So here, that's why, and here even he said the word increased, you see, and here's the word decreased. So that's why I'm telling you, when you start writing this task, write down on the margin, right? Like 4 words meaning increased, another 4, like other 4 words meaning decreased, and like 3 words or 4 words meaning like stabilized. Write them, and whenever you use one of them, just like cross it. Okay, in order to use a variety of words, like different words. And as you see here, he said also on the other hand, he said that the consumption of chicken, he wrote chicken on one paragraph, why? Because it's really, really important. It is really important. And remember, all the tense here is in the past, except the first sentence, because it describes the graph, and the last sentence also the graph shows how this is kind of like he started by rephrasing the question, shows how the consumption of chicken increased dramatically while the popularity of these other like food decreased over the period. This is the main idea. So he just wrote it in the conclusion. As we see here, the introduction is 1 sentence and the conclusion is 1 sentence only. Okay, so that's why in the exam in writing, as I told you before, start with writing task 2, and then writing task 1. Why? Because if you start with writing task 1, you will take much longer time than expected. And as I told you, it's just out of 3. And the good thing about task 1 that you don't have to think about extra ideas. You don't have to. Like the challenge of task 1 is trying to figure the main ideas out. Like try to locate the main ideas. You should know what main ideas you're supposed to describe. This is the most important challenge, and how to express them in a nice way, in an academic way. And again, as I told you, do not mention any inference. Do not mention any reason. Don't say because fish smells bad, for example, because some students might say, yeah, it's least popular because it smells bad. Like, it is not our business. It is not our business. Like here, remember, you're writing a report. Like this report, represents the information mentioned in such a chart or table. So you don't have to mention any reasons. As long as they're not mentioned, don't mention them. You got it? Now, let's see another one. Yes, Abdurrahman. You're raising your hand? Sharply important, yes. No, significant here doesn't mean important. Significant here means big differences. You see? Significant here. If I said much less significantly, it means not that sharp. Yes. So here we have this one. You see, that's why, in writing task 1 here, we have also this one. As I told you, this one is so good. You can use these expressions. You can memorize them. It is really, really good to help you. If you like to express your ideas, you have this one. This is overview language. What does overview language? This is the beginning of body 1. The first, how to start a body 1, or how to start the main idea. You can write as a general trend. You can write as it can be seen, as it observed, as presented, as an overall trend. Yes, Mahmoud? And this one, you can use it at the end, overall. Yes.
Miss Amal, could you please send us this PDF on our WhatsApp group?
Yes, sure. Inshallah. Once we finish, I will send it to you. Inshallah, once we're done, I will send it to you. And also, I will send you this one as well. This one. This one, I like it, but this one. I like some of it, but not all of it. It contains a lot of pieces of advice, but still the problem is not all of them are are academic. That's why.
What do you mean by not academic?
For example, you're in general, you're not supposed to start an essay with according to, an academic essay with according to, unless you have an amazing statistic, when you have an amazing number that might grab readers' attention. Yes, you can. Here, also it's really good. I will send it to you, but as I told you, I have some notes, some observations on it, but I will send it to you because I guess it's concise but precise. I will send you both. Okay, and also will send you this one. I will also send you this one. The word this one. Okay, no, yeah, this one. Because it contains, as I told you, most of the sentences you're supposed to memorize. Okay, you got it?
Okay, Miss Amal, thanks.
Yes, you're totally welcome. Totally welcome. So now we have here we still have time. So we might have speaking, or we might have correct. Some of you sent me introductions and essays. I didn't check them last time because they were sent late, or I didn't see them. Or we might have an extra an extra task like this one, for example. Here we have this one. We can have an extra task like this one. We can try to apply what you have just mentioned to other exams, to other examples, here, for example, as you see here, this is numbers. You said, you can use numbers, fractions, or percentages. And here we have numbers, and then we have how to describe them. For example, here, you see, into 1992, 1994, 1996, and 1998. And here we have numbers, 500, 1,000, 3,000, 12,000. If you like to, represent it in English written, in written English, text, how can you write it? How can you express it? So here we have this one. Okay, so here, for example, you can say the number doubled between 1992 and 1994. Doubled is so good to use. Here we have, it was 5,000, now it's 1,000. So instead of writing, it increased from 9,900 in 2029 to 1,000 in 1994. It's better to write the number doubled between 29 and 24, between 99, 92, and 94. It's much better. And again, he said the number tripled. What does tripled mean?
Increased by 3 times.
Yes, we can. Yes, the number tripled between 1994 and 1996. Yes, 1994 it was 1,000, and 1998 and 96 was 3,000. So it's tripled. So here it's much better than writing again the number increased. It's not wrong, by the way, right? It increased from 1,000 in 1994 to 3,000 in 1996. It is not wrong for sure. But you're not supposed to use the same pattern of sentences all over the essay. So sometimes you can write this structure one time, and then you can write this structure one time, and so on. Quadrupled means like increased 4 times. And again, in 1996, it was 3,000. In 1998, it was 12,000. So here we have another way. Like you can write there was a twofold increase. Remember, when you have a dash, when you have a compound adjective, do not add s. Don't write two folds, because this is an adjective, and adjectives are not plural. We don't add s to adjective. This is a compound adjective here, and you have the dash. So in that case, don't add s. Don't write a two-folds increase. No, it's wrong. A two-fold increase. And the figure went up 6-fold. Yes, Mahmoud?
Miss Amal, could you please explain to us complex adjectives?
Compound adjective. I did say no. I
I'm
meant
sorry, compound adjective.
compound adjective, like what? I will give you an example. Like this one, for example. Like here, you see this one? Like, for example, like I will give you an example here. If I said, I met, like you can say, I met a, let's say a 10-year-old girl. You got it? So here we have this one. Here I can say I met a girl, right? I can say I met a girl. So
Yes.
10-year-old describes what? Describe I or met or the word girl.
Describes the girl herself.
Yes. So in that case, like when you have compound adjectives, like the same as compound noun, you have more than one word to describe, like used to describe like another noun or another word. So in that case, they call it a compound adjective. So the compound adjective consists of more than one word. And mostly speaking, we use it before the noun, it modifies. So a 10-year-old girl. So as long as you have a dash here, like you're not supposed to add s to the word years. Or you can write the girl whom I met was 10 years old. Like instead of writing, you can say the girl
Uh-huh.
I met was or is. You can write was like or is. Like if you speak about a fact, you can write is, by the way. And if you speak about something that have no consequence, you can say 10 years old. It's also correct.
Mm.
You know, the girl should be capitalized here. Girl. You got it? But this
But
one is much better. Why? Why this one is much better? Because like the number of words is less.
mm.
The number of
But
words is the key.
shouldn't the dash be added between the word year and old?
The word
A
year and yes,
10-year-old.
yes. Like here we can say yes, you can sometimes you add it, yes. Sometimes you add it, but like yeah, but I'd like to make sure bit like before like this, like misleading you. I just like to write it here. Yes, I'd like to make sure of it first. Like it
Yes.
say, yes.
The thing is, because I have been seeing this a lot of times when I
Yes,
was
we add 2
reading.
dashes, yes. Like yeah. We're just speaking, we add 2
Mm.
dashes, but I'd like to make sure of it first, yes. Here,
That's why I wanted to understand.
old, yes. For example, like boy. Like let's see how to write it. So you can say a 10-year, no, this one wrong, 10-year-old boy. Like a 10, yes. Like here we have dash here between year and old. Yes, we add
I see.
dash, yes. Yeah, that's it. Like what, like when you can write sister-in-law or brother-in-law, but sister-in-law and brother-in-law, this is like a noun, compound noun, not compound adjective. So here we're supposed to add like dashes. Like, you got it? So here we have 2 dashes. But my point is like we're not supposed to add s to the word years. You got it?
Mhm.
So here,
I
like
understand.
same here. Yes, never mind.
Mhm.
Like this one here, what is it like here? When we have, for example, a twofold increase, like you can say it witnessed. I can say this product witnessed. You can say witnessed a 2, for example, a 2 or 3. You can write a 2, then fold increase. What does it mean? Like it means like the increase was like it's doubled. It doubled. So here twofold is a compound adjective. Here we have concise. Concise means yes, yes, Abdurrahman, very good. Concise means short. Like when you have a sentence, if you are able in English, especially in English, like economy in English is so important. Remember, this is the opposite of redundancy. What does redundancy mean? If you're able to express the same idea using a fewer number of words, much better than using a lot of words. That's why like some phrases are not recommended if you like to have high marks in writing in IELTS. And like, because why? Because these words can be deleted, these phrases can be deleted and they won't, like, when we delete them, the meaning won't be changed at all. So it means they're not important. In general, in writing, if there is a sentence, if you can delete a sentence without changing the meaning, it means this sentence should be deleted. It means this sentence is weak and it weakens the overall quality of your writing. And even when it comes to words, as I told you, this is called redundancy. So here we have this one. This is called a compound adjective. So a compound adjective is used in order to minimize the number of words. You got it? You got it? And as I told you, in order to approach task 1, you're supposed to memorize, as I told you, this file. Memorize it. This one.
Mm.
This one.
But is this is it the opposite in speaking? Because in speaking, I think it would be better if we add redundant words.
Not redundant, we call it filling, like fillers, like as we always know. Yes, sometimes
Mhm.
it's like, but it doesn't mean that you have to repeat like some ideas which are relevant, or like to keep using a lot of cliches in speaking, because like it gives the impression that you memorize them.
Well, what I mean, because one time I was speaking in class here,
Mhm.
and I was talking about the time I went to the market, and it was I liked a lot of things on that. So you told me a tip that I should mention like the fruits and vegetables.
Yes, in order
So
to
this is like redundant.
yes,
So
yes, no, and it's no.
yes, I'm just asking. So please explain to me,
In
please.
speaking, yes, in speaking, you're supposed to add more examples. In speaking, you're supposed to speak nonstop, like for 2 minutes, nonstop for 2 minutes. You see, so if you just mention the main ideas, like you will, you will you will mention everything, and then
Mhm.
it's time. And if you keep silent,
Mhm.
like you will lose marks. You see my point? So I was giving you a hint to prolong your response in speaking. You got it? And
I see.
even in writing, adding relevant examples is never harmful. Adding relevant
Mhm.
examples in writing and in speaking is never harmful. For sure, is like really good. But my point is using unnecessary words, using unnecessary phrases. This is what I meant by like redundancy. In redundancy
Mhm.
in writing, and because you don't have time in writing. In speaking, yes, like
I
our
see.
problem is in speaking, but yeah, speaking is 15 minutes. But remember, you have to answer a question on the spot, and you have no time.
Mhm.
Like, you have time. You have time to speak. If you forgot what you say, like you can just like try to generate new ideas and so on. But in writing, believe it or not, like writing, like time flies by. Like time flies in writing,
Mhm.
and you're supposed to write, and we don't write. The problem is that we don't write. We speak, but we don't write. I mean, like handwritten. Like we don't use the pen to write most of the time. We're getting are used to like typing everything we want, and we're used to auto check technology. So we don't write a lot. So when some of my students, even believe it or not, she told me that she couldn't hold the pen. She doesn't know how to hold the pen and write. She said that like her fingers now are weak. Like she said so. So my point is, in writing, like as long as it is
She's
not.
not used to it anymore, so she can't hold the pen properly. Yes, I understand.
Yes. Yes, she told me,
Mhm.
I don't know, I forgot how
Oh,
to
this
write.
happens. This happens. Yes. Yes.
And now we speak about like spelling. Like writing is much more challenging than speaking. I mean, when it comes to IELTS exams, in any exams, writing is more challenging than speaking. Why? Especially if the students are already familiar with speaking. So when it comes to writing, like they feel like we have spelling, we have punctuation marks, we have like writing mechanisms. We have organization of ideas. We have a lot of points to look at. Like to pay attention to. In speaking, like it's make or break. You have 15 minutes, you have to speak. So for those who feel shy or timid, like speaking is more challenging. For those like who are timid, like they are not accustomed to speaking with others, or like they are phobic to having this kind of interviews, they might even forget all ideas because of their they're tense, they're under pressure. But when it comes to writing, from my point of view, you should be relaxed, because like no one is is waiting for you to speak right now on the spot. But at the same time, you have to pay more attention. You see my point?
Yes, of course.
This
And if I write something wrong or I have any punctuation error, I can like
They always say it that makes no
yes,
sense. They always say it's okay, they skip them, but they never skip them. Like they always say, yeah, 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 as long as it doesn't affect the meaning, as long as it's still clear, even if you make spelling mistakes or punctuation mistakes, you won't pay attention to every single word. But why it's hard for people to get 8 out of 8 or 9 out of 9 or 8 out of 9? Why is it hard? You know? Like some people, like they always like it's almost impossible for anyone to get 9 out of 9 in writing. Why? Because like yeah, even if they don't like pay attention to such small minor details, it's still like they're worth it. Like they like penalize students for that, penalize candidates for that, for such mistakes. You got it? So here, as I
yes,
told
I
you,
got
in writing task one, it's much more like it's really recommended to memorize specific sentences so that you can use them in writing. In speaking, no. In speaking, if you memorize some sentences, like the response will be like your remark will be penalized, like you will be penalized for that. And even if you memorize some sentences in speaking, you should be a good actor. You should know how to like deliver them spontaneously, so that the listener, the interviewer, like believes that it's you, like your original sentences. But
yes,
some
as if
students,
I got them on the spot, even though I've
yes,
memorized them before the
yeah, some
exam.
students have the tendency of memorizing sentences. So when you memorize them, the same as they recite the Holy Quran. You feel like they reciting them, like why? Like again, like it is not your sentences. So this is really bad in speaking. But in writing task one, yes, you can
It
memorize
shows.
sentences.
Yes, it
In
shows.
writing
It
task
shows
two,
when
yes.
someone is memorizing words.
Yeah, for sure it's clear. For sure it's clear. Like, like, when someone is reading, if one is memorizing, you know that this person is memorizing it. So, the interviewers, like, the interviewers, like, they deal with hundreds of students almost every month. So they know it. MashaAllah, they develop this kind of ability to distinguish the one who's really, like, good at speaking and the one who's really just memorizing it. You see? But in writing task
Yes.
one, you should memorize some sentences because like it's worth out, like it's worth, like, it's out of three, and like these sentences will help you organize your ideas. Okay, so in writing task one, the technique here in writing task one, always look for groups, like always try to classify them. I'd like to show you some example, another example of writing task one here. I guess it's here. I can send you all the files, like here, I have them. Yes, like here we have this one. And for sure you should know that this, like, adjectives are used before nouns. So I can say a rapid increase. So you can say increased rapidly. I can say a significant, like, fell significantly. I can say a significant fall. So we should remember, like, when to use adjectives correctly and when we should use adverbs correctly. So we use adverbs when we use these words as verbs, and we use adjective when we use these words as noun. Like, in order to be clearer, like here, like this one. So here we have nouns, a peak, fluctuation, variation, a bit of stability, like plateau, like, we have verbs here. So, and here we have some phrases. But what I meant here is what, like, I can say a sharp increase, a sudden decrease, a rapid rise. But if I'd like to use it as an adjective, like here as this one, I will say, for example, like here, I will say like increased sharply, or fell suddenly, or rose rapidly, or declined, like, dramatically. Whatever it is, like, we should know that before adverbs, we use verbs, and before nouns, we use adjectives. Okay, so here we have this one, like here, for example, a substantial means significant increase. So we have here an adjective and then noun. If I'd like to change it into a verb, if I'd like to use it into a verb, I can say the value of stocks on, like, increased substantially on March the 15th. If I'd like to use it as a verb. So I can say, for example, like here, the value, I can write it, I can say the values of stocks. Here we saw like increased because it's in the back. It said there was sub, like, sub here, like you are going to use the same words. For example, I can say also significantly, no problem. Substantially, like on March the 15th. The same meaning. It has the same meaning here. But even you don't have to write, like, can say March 15th. You can write it that way. Okay. We have this one here. Like this one, the number of tourists visiting New York fell sharply in October. How can we rephrase it? How can we rephrase this one?
Which sentence, please?
Sentence. The number of tourists visiting New York fell sharply in October. Should we use dashes when we write numbers in words? Yes, when we write 25, for example, write 25 and so on, you're supposed to use a dash in between. Yes. Yes. Yeah, here we have this one. Here, what about this one? The number of students visiting New York fell sharply in October. Like, how can we replace this?
We can replace fell sharply by declined. We can say the number of tourists visiting New York declined in October.
Yes, so if I'd like to say there was a sharp fall, I can also say that there was a sharp fall in the number of tourists, like, visiting New York in October.
Sure.
But
But
it
Miss
was,
Amr,
I
could
told
you please
you.
explain why is it better to rephrase it like this?
No, it's not better. No, it's not. I'm not
Mm.
saying that it's better. I'm just saying this is another way.
Oh,
So instead of
uh-huh.
using the same, instead of using verb and adverb and verb and adverb, so in that case, you can use an adjective and noun. It is not. I'm not saying
Oh, I
it's
see.
better. I'm saying just it's different. Because
Oh,
also
okay.
your structure is evaluated. Like you're supposed to use various structures. You see my point? Yeah, and
I
there
see, I
were,
understand.
I'm not a big fan of there was and there were, to tell you the truth. There was and there were, like, we can use it when we need them. We can use such a structure when we need it. But as long as we don't need it, we don't, like, you can just use it in a different way. As I told you, like, here we don't use, like, look here, the number of words here is less than the number of words here. It's fewer than the number of words here. So it means this one is better. You got it?
I understand, yes.
Yes. Yes. So you have this one here, like here. Okay, I'd like to share some, like here you have a table, for example. And by the way, I told you table is so good in listening and it is so good in reading. Why? Because it organizes all the information mentioned in any passage, whether listening or reading. But in writing task one, this is the most hateful. Why? Why do you think table is the most, the table? Like when you have a data table and so on, it's the most hateful when it comes to writing task one. Why? Who knows?
One.
Because it takes time to understand it. You know, like when we have a pie chart, for example, like look at this one, in order to understand it, you have to